Chapter 5 Diagonally. Harry woke early the next morning. Although he could tell it was daylight, he kept his eyes shut tight. It was a dream, he told himself firmly. A dream a giant called Hagrid come to tell me I'm going to a school for wizards. When I open my eyes, I'll be at home in my cupboard. There was suddenly a loud tapping noise. And there's Aunt Petunia knocking on the doors. Harry thought. His heart stinked, but he still didn't open his eye. It had been such a good dream. Tap, tap, tap. All right, Harry mumbled. I'm getting up. He sat up, and Hagrid's heavy coat fell off him. The hut was full of sunlight. The storm was over. Hagrid himself was asleep on the collapsed sofa, and there was an owl wrapping his claws on the window, a newspaper held in its beak. Harry scrambled to his feet, so happy he felt as though a large balloon was swelling inside him. He went straight to the window and jerked it open. The owl swooped in and dropped the newspaper on top of Hagrid, who didn't wake up. The owl then fluttered on the floor and began to attack Hagrid's coat. Don't do that! Harry tried to wave the owl out of the way, but it snapped its beak fiercely at him and carried on savaging the coat. Hagrid, said Harry loudly, there's an owl. Pay him. Hagrid grunted in the sofa. What? He wants payment for delivering the paper. Look in the pockets. Harry's coat was to be made of nothing but pockets. Bunches of key, strong pouches, ball of string, mini hamburger, tea bags. Finally, he pulled out a handful of strange-looking coins. Give him 5 knuts, said Harry, sleepily. Knuts? The little bronze one. Harry counted out 5 little bronze coins, and the owl held out its leg so he could put the money in the small leather pouch tied to it. Then it flew out through the window. Hagrid yawned loudly, sat up and stretched. Must be up, Harry. Lot to do today. Gotta get off to London and buy your stuff for school. Harry was turning over the wizard's coin and looking at them. He had just thought of something which made him feel as though the happy balloon inside him had gone punctured. Hagrid? Mm-hmm, said Hagrid, who was pulling on the huge boots. I hadn't got any money, and you heard Uncle Ben last night. He won't pay me to go and learn magic. Don't worry about that, said Hagrid, standing up and scratching his head. Don't you think your parents didn't leave you anything? But if their house had been destroyed, they didn't keep their word in the house, boy. Nah, first stop for us is Gringotts, Wizard's Bank. Have sausage. They're not bad cord, and I wouldn't say no to a bit of your birthday cake neither. Wizards had banks. Just one, Gringotts, run by goblins. Harry dropped a bit of sausage he was hoarding. Goblins? Yeah, so you'll be mad to try to love it. I'll tell you that. Never mess with goblins, Harry. Gringotts is the safest place on the world for anything you want to keep safe. Of course, except for Hogwarts. As a matter of fact, I got to visit Gringotts anyway for Dumbledore, Hogwarts business. Hagrid drew himself up proudly. He usually gets me to do important stuff for him, fetching you, getting things from Gringotts. Now, he can trust me now. See? Got everything? Come on then. Harry followed Hagrid out on the rock. The sky was quite clear now and the sea rimmed in the sunlight. The boat Uncle Ben had hired was still there, with a lot of water in the bottom after the storm. How did you get here? Harry asked, looking around for another boat. Flew, said Hagrid. Flew? Yeah, but we'll go back in this. Not supposed to use magic now I got you. They settled down on the boat. Harry still staring at Hagrid, trying to imagine him flying. Seems a shame to row, though, said Hagrid, giving Harry another of his sideways looks. If I was to speed things up a bit, would you mind not mentioning it at Hogwarts? Of course not, said Harry, eager to see more magic. Hagrid pulled out a pink umbrella again, tapped it twice on the side of the boat, and they sped off toward land. Why would you be mad to rob Gringotts? Harry asked. Spells, enchantments, said Harry, unfolding his newspaper as he spoke. They said there's dragon guarding the high square birds, and then you gonna find your way. Gringotts is hundreds of miles under London Sea, deep underground. You'll die of hunger trying to get out, even if you manage to get your hands on something. Harry sat and thought about this while Hagrid read his newspaper, the Daily Prophet. Harry was learned from Uncle Ben that people like to be left alone while they're doing this. But it was very difficult. He had never had so many questions in his life. Mystery of magic, messing up as usual, Harry muttered, turning the page. There's a mystery of magic, Harry asked before he could stop himself. Of course, said Hagrid. They wanted Dumbledore to be a minister, of course, but he never left Hogwarts. So old Cornelius Badge got the job, whether if even there was one. So he appeared Dumbledore with owls every morning asking for advice. But what does Mystery Magic do? Well, their main job is to keep it from the muggles that there's still witches and wizards up and down the country. Why? Why? Blimey, Harry. Everyone be wanting magic solutions to their problems. Now we're best left alone. At this moment, the boat bumped gently in the hollow wall. Hagrid pulled out his newspaper, and they clambered up the stone step on the street. Passers-by stared a lot at Hagrid, so they walked through the little town to the station. Harry couldn't blame them. Not only the Hagrid twice as tall as anyone else's, he kept pointing at perfectly ordinary things like parking meters and saying loudly, "See that, Harry? These things muggles dream up, yeah?" Hagrid, said Harry, panting a bit as he ran to keep up. You said there's a dragon at the Gringotts. Well, so they say, said Hagrid. Cranky, I like a dragon. You like one? Wanted one ever since I was a kid. Here we go. They have reached the station. There was a train to London in 5 minutes' time. Hagrid, who didn't understand muggle money as he called it, gave the note to Harry so he could buy their tickets. People stared more than ever on the train. Hagrid took up 2 seats and sat knitting what looked like a kindly yellow circus tent. Still got your letter, Harry? He asked as he counted stitches. Harry took the parchment envelope out of his pocket. Good, said Harry. There's a list there of everything you need. Harry unfolded the second piece of paper he didn't notice the night before and read Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Uniform. First year student will require 3 sets of plain work clothes, black. 2. 1 plain pointed hat, black for day wear. 3. 1 pair of protective gloves, dragonhide or similar. 4. 1 winter cloak, black, silver pastings. Please note that all pupils' clothes should carry name tags. Set books. All students should have a copy of each of the followings. The Standard Books of Spell, Grade 1 by Brenda Gossok. A History of Magic by Bathilda Bagshot. Magic Theory by Adelbert Wolfling. Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration by Amartic Switch. 1000 Magical Herbs and Fungi by Pilda Scott. Magical Dwarfs and Potions by Arances Digger. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Squander. A Dark Forces, A Guide to Self-Protection by Quinnen Tremble. Other requirements: 1 wand, 1 quadrant, powder standard size 2, 1 set glass or crystal pails, 1 telescope, 1 set base scales. Students may also bring an owl or a cat or a toad. Parents are reminded that first years are not allowed their own broomsticks. Can you buy all this in London? Harry wandered around. If you know where to go, said Hagrid. Harry had never been to London before, although Hagrid seemed to know where he was going. He was obviously not used to getting there in ordinary way. He got stuck in the ticket barrier on the underground and complained loudly. The seats were too small and the train was too slow. I don't know how the muggles manage without magic, he said as he climbed a broken down escalator which led up to bursting road lightning stops. Hagrid was so huge that he parted the crowd easily. All Harry had to do was keep close behind them. They passed bookshop and music store, hamburger bar and cinema, but nowhere that looked as if it could sell you a magic wand. This was just the ordinary streets full of ordinary people. Could there really a pile of wizards' gourds buried miles beneath them? Were they really shops that sell those spell books and broomsticks? This all be some huge joke that Dudley's has cooked up. If Harry hadn't known that Dudley's had no sense of humor, he thought might do so. Yet somehow, even though everything Hagrid had told him was fun and unbelievable, Harry couldn't help trusting him. This is it, said Hagrid, coming to a halt. The Lakey Quadrant is a famous place. It was a tiny, grubby-looking pub. If Hagrid didn't point it out, Harry wouldn't have noticed it was there. The people hauling by didn't glance at it. Their eyes lit from a big bookshop on the other side to the record shop on the other, as if there wasn't couldn't see a leaky quadrant at all. In fact, Harry had the most peculiar feeling that only he and Hagrid could see it. Before he could mention this, Hagrid had steered him inside. For a famous place, it was very dark and scrappy. A few old women were sitting in a corner, drinking tiny glasses of sherry. One of them was smoking a long pipe. One man in a top hat was talking to the old baron, who was quite blond and looked like Rummy Walnut. The low buzz of chatter stopped when they walked in. Everyone seemed to know Hagrid. They waved and smiled at him. The barman reached for a glass, saying the usual Hagrid. "Can't, Tom. I am on Hogwarts business," said Hagrid, chopping his great hand on Harry's shoulder and making Harry's knees tremble. "Good Lord," said the barman, peering at Harry. Can this be? The leaky corner has suddenly gone completely still and silent. "Bless my soul," whispered the old barman. "Harry Potter, what an honor!" He hurried out from behind the bar, rushing toward Harry and seized his hand, a tear in his eyes. "Welcome back, Mr. Potter. Welcome back." Harry didn't know what to say. Everyone was looking at him. The old woman with a pipe was purring on the without realizing it had gone out. Hagrid was beaming. Then there was great scuffling of chairs, and next moment Harry found himself shaking hands with everyone in the quadrant. "Doris Crawford, Mr. Potter, I can't believe I'm meeting you at last." "So proud, Mr. Potter. Just so proud. Always wanted to shake your hand. I'm all the further." "Like that, Mr. Potter. Just can't tell you. Diggle's my name. Diggle's Diggle." "I've seen you before," said Hagrid, as Diggle's Diggle top hat fell off his excitement. "You bowed to me once in the shop." "He remembers," cried Diggle's Diggle, looking around at everyone. "Did you hear that? He remembers me." Harry shook hands again and again. Doris Crockford kept coming back for more. A pale young man made his way forward, very nervous, for his eyes were twitching. "Professor Quirrell," said Hagrid. "Harry, Professor Quirrell would be one of your teachers at Hogwarts." "Potter," stammered Professor Quirrell, gasping in Harry's hands. "Can tell you how pleased I am to meet you." "What sort of magic do you teach, Professor Quirrell?" "Defense against the dark arts," muttered Professor Quirrell, as though he rather not think about it. "Not that you need it, Potter." He laughed nervously. "You'll be getting your equipments, I suppose. I got to pick up new books on vampires myself." He looked terrified at Barry's thoughts, but the others wouldn't let Professor Quill keep Harry to himself. It took almost 10 minutes to get away from them at last. Hagrid managed to make himself heard over the baffled. "Must go on. Lots to buy. Come on, Harry." Doris Crockford shook Harry's hand one more time, and Hagrid led them through the bar and out into a small wooden, walled courtyard. There, where there was nothing but a dustbin and a few wings. Hagrid grinned at Harry. Told you, didn't I? Told you had was famous. Even Professor Quill was trembling to meet you. I knew he's always tremble. Is he always that nervous? Oh yes, poor bloke. Brilliant mind. He was fine while he was studying out of books. But they then he took a year off to some first-hand experience. They say he met vampires in the Black Forest, and there was a nasty bit of trouble with the hag. Never been the same since. Scared of students, scared of his own subjects. Now, where is my umbrella? Vampires? Hag? Harry's head was swimming. Hagrid, meanwhile, was counting blicks in a wall above the dustbin. 3 out, 2 across, he muttered. Right, stand back, Harry. He tapped the wall 3 times with a point of his umbrella. The brick he was touching quivered. It wiggled in the middle. A small hole appeared. It grew larger. A second later, there was facing an archway large enough even for Hagrid, and an archway onto a crumbled street which twisted and turned out of sight. Welcome, said Hagrid, to Diagon Alley. He grinned at Harry's amazement. They stood through the archway. Harry looked quickly over his shoulder and saw the archway shrink intently back into a solid wall. The sun shone brightly on the sock of cauldron outside the nearest shop. Cauldron are all sizes: copper, base, powder, silver, self-stirring, corpuscle, said a sign hanging over them. Yeah, you'll be needing one, said Hagrid, but we gonna got your money first. Harry wished he had about 8 more eyes. He turned his head in every direction as he walked up the street, trying to look at everything at once: the shop, the things outside them, the people doing their shopping, the pump woman outside in a archway was shaking her head as they passed, saying, Dragon Leaper, 16 sickles at once, they're mad. A low soft hooting came from a dog shop with a sign saying, I live our emporium. Tawny, screech, brown, and snowy. Several boys of about Harry's age, with their noses pressed against the window with broomstick in it. Look, Harry heard one of them say, the new Nimbus 2000, fastest ever. They were shops selling globes, shops selling telescopes, a strange silver instrument Harry had never seen before. The window shook with bubble of bad spins and eel's eyes, turning pile of spellbooks, quill and roll of parchment, potion bottle, grab of a moon. Gringotts, said Hagrid. They had reached the snowy white building with toured over the other little shops. Standing beside it, burnished, burnished bronze door, wearing a uniform of cigarette of gold, was